For most people, I was living the dream. A six-figure banking job, making over $300,000 a year, a luxury apartment in the city, suits tailored to perfection, business-class flights, five-star hotels, rooftop dinners, and a LinkedIn profile that screamed success. But here's the part nobody saw. Behind all the shine and status, I was slowly falling apart. Every morning, I would wake up with this heavy feeling in my chest. I'd dress up, fake a smile, and walk into that skyscraper, like everything was fine. But inside, I felt like a robot, chasing targets, numbers, and deadlines that didn't mean anything to me. I'd sit at my desk, staring at charts and spreadsheets, nodding through meetings, pretending to care about deals that felt soulless. I was surrounded by ambition, yet I felt disconnected. My phone would buzz with client calls during dinner. My calendar was always full, but my heart was always empty. I was making more money than I ever imagined, but I barely had time to enjoy any of it. My friends saw the car, my parents saw the paycheck, Instagram saw the lifestyle, but none of them saw how drained I truly was. You know what's crazy? Thought I had made it. But deep down, I couldn't shake this one question. Is this really it? I remember one day, sitting alone in a conference room at 9 p.m., everyone else gone home, city lights blinking through the windows. I looked at the screen in front of me and realized I hadn't smiled all day. Not once. That's when something inside me broke. That night, I went home and couldn't sleep. Not because of stress, but because something inside me had awakened. A voice I had ignored for years was finally screaming, "You're not happy. You're not living. You're just surviving." That moment, right there, was the beginning of everything. The beginning of my decision to walk away. And what I discovered, after that, changed my life forever. I learned 3 things, and today I want to share them with you. There's always a moment that breaks you. For me, it didn't come like a dramatic movie scene. It came quietly, just another late night in the office. The lights were dim. Most people had already gone home. I was still at my desk, eyes glued to the screen, finishing yet another urgent report that no one would remember in 2 weeks. My head hurt. My back ached. I hadn't eaten since lunch. My phone buzzed. A simple text from someone I care about. Missed dinner again? I stared at that message longer than I should have. It hit harder than any client deadline ever could. I realized how many birthdays I'd missed, how many weekends I'd canceled, how many times I'd said, "I'll make it up to you," but I never really did. That night, I packed up my laptop and walked out of that office like I had 100 times before. But something felt different. The hallway felt colder. The silence felt louder. When I got home, I sat on the edge of my bed, fully dressed, staring at the wall. It was quiet. But my mind was screaming. What am I doing with my life? I had everything they said I should want. But why did I feel so numb? That's when the truth hit me. This version of success was never really mine. I had inherited someone else's dream. I had been chasing status, not purpose. And that was the night it all began to unravel. I started asking deeper questions. Questions I had been too busy or too afraid to face. Questions like, am I happy? What do I actually want? If I died tomorrow, would I be proud of how I lived today? That was the breaking point. And strangely, it was also the beginning of my freedom. Because once you realize you're trapped, you finally start looking for the way out. Scene 3, Lesson 1. Money isn't everything. Visual suggestions. Flashbacks of you buying expensive items, watches, suits, gadgets, or a car. Slow-motion scenes of swiping credit cards, walking through luxury stores, then cutting to you alone, staring at the ceiling, or eating alone in silence. Voiceover script, approx. 2,000 characters. Lesson 1 hit me like a punch in the gut. Money isn't everything. don't get me wrong, money matters. It gives you options, freedom, comfort. I'm not going to pretend that it's not important. But here's the truth I learned the hard way. Money can buy almost everything, except the things that actually make life worth living. I used to chase every bonus, every promotion, every raise. I'd measure my worth by the number in my bank account. I thought if I just made a little more, I'd finally feel successful. So I bought things. A luxury watch I barely wore. A car I didn't even have time to enjoy. Designer clothes that just hung in my closet. I was always shopping for happiness, but somehow my cart was always empty. I remember standing in my apartment one night, surrounded by all the stuff I'd bought. Everything looked perfect, but it didn't feel like home. It felt like a hotel suite, a beautiful space with no soul. That's when I realized something painful. I was using money to fill a void that success couldn't touch. What I truly wanted, peace, purpose, connection, couldn't be found in a paycheck. I had been sold the lie that more money equals more happiness. But the reality? After a certain point, more money just becomes more noise. I was rich in my wallet but poor in spirit, and that's not the kind of wealth I wanted anymore. It took me years to understand that real success isn't about what you earn. It's about how you feel when you wake up every morning, and if you're waking up dreading the day, even with a big salary, then it's not success. It's a slow death. That was my first lesson. A hard one, but a necessary one. Because once you stop chasing money for the wrong reasons, you finally start chasing something real. Scene 4. Lesson 2. Time is your real wealth. Visual suggestions. You walking in a park, spending time with family or friends, laughing over a simple meal, watching a sunset, or looking at old photos. Voice-over script, approx. 100 characters. Lesson 2. Time is your real wealth. We spend so much of our lives chasing money, but forget that time is the one thing we can never get back. You can always earn more money, but once a moment is gone, it's gone forever. I missed out on birthdays, anniversaries, late-night talks, weekend trips, because I was too busy building my career. I thought I was being productive, but in reality, I was wasting the most precious thing I had. I used to sit in meetings, checking my watch every few minutes, thinking about how many hours I still had to go. But now, I check the clock and think, how do I want to spend this hour? That shift changed everything for me. Real wealth isn't about how many digits are in your account. It's about how much freedom you have in your day. Time with loved ones. Time to breathe. Time to do nothing at all. The world tells us to hustle non-stop, but sometimes the richest thing you can do is pause. I stopped trading my time for money, and for the first time, I actually started living. Scene 5. Lesson 3. Purpose over paychecks. Visual suggestions. You working on your passion project, filming content, smiling genuinely, helping others, having coffee peacefully at home, or journaling. Voice-over script, approx. 1,500 characters. Lesson 3. Purpose over paychecks. After walking away from my high-paying job, people thought I was crazy, but I didn't leave because I hated work. I left because I wanted to do work that actually mattered to me. I realized something powerful. A paycheck feeds your bank account, but purpose? It feeds your soul. I started asking, what am I good at? What do I love? How can I use my voice, my story, my skills to make a difference? And when I aligned my work with my passion, everything changed. The stress? It faded. The fake smile? Gone. For the first time in years, I felt alive again. I wasn't chasing status anymore. I was creating impact. And no, I didn't start out making $300,000 again. But I gained something far more valuable: peace, passion, and purpose. If you're stuck in a job that's draining your soul, just know there is another way. You don't have to quit everything tomorrow, but you do have to listen to that voice inside you, the one whispering, "You were made for more," because you were. And once you find your purpose, you'll never settle for just a paycheck again.